the bear you're about to poke with that technology and what they'll do to keep it suppressed, you're destined to fail. So one of the reasons we're doing this documentary is to provide the context so that people who do have these devices come to us, and we have a strategy that we briefly outline in this documentary of how to fix this problem. Well, how do you fix it? The big mistake people make, they try to patent it, and we have actually a national security order denial on a patent of one of these devices from an inventor I know. So we're going to prove this is not a conspiracy theory. Here it is from the patent office. So they ain't going to allow it. It gets confiscated. We have a patent examiner who's a PhD physicist testify that they confiscate these things. That's in the movie. Then we say, okay, how are you going to get it out then? If you try to keep how it operates secret, then you're very vulnerable. So one of the things I did for the Disclosure Project for my own security is to decentralize everything I have. It's called de-targeting. So why have a big bullseye on your ass when if you were to disperse all your information and intelligence, which I have done, it would still be out there. Moreover, you create a dead man trigger. So since the 90s, I've had a dead man trigger of stuff I'm holding back. That if something happens to me, that hits the internet, and every celebrity that supports what we're doing that can reach 1 billion people, they get it, they put it out on Instagram, and boom. And this is stuff they do not want out. Mm-hmm. It's names, it's stuff that I have not released, and where and who. But people say, why don't you release it? I said, well, this is one of my insurance policies. But what these inventors don't get is that they don't do that. They have no SecOps, so they have no security protocols. They just think, I have a better mousetrap, the world's going to beat a path to my door. When in reality, Murder Incorporated beats a path to their door. Okay? Or it just gets confiscated. Most of the time, it's not even that. They're so crazy. They think, we're going to keep this secret. Nobody will know how it works. And I'm going to just sort of be able to get it out there without no one proving it. And I said, no. If you're making an outrageous claim that you're pulling energy out of the space around us, it's got to be released for scientific review. It's got to be reproduced by multiple labs and people who are skilled in the art. You got to open source it. Open source means it's just out there. Mm-hmm. At the first level. Now maybe at the second level you could patent, because then the whole world knows. So what we're proposing is that at a level 1 phase of these new technologies coming out, we're going to leave the things that fly alone, because those could be missile delivery systems. But the things that would run your house, your car, whatever, a boat, a truck, those need to come out like 100 years ago. So the way to do it, and this we outline, is that we would disclose it publicly on blockchain-protected systems massively, multiple celebrities. And the first 20 of these devices we would reproduce would be running Demi Lovato's home, or Leo DiCaprio's house, or Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters, or whoever, all these people interested in the subject. Why? Because the media could suppress this, but you can't suppress dozens of celebrities with 1 billion followers.
Yeah.
Got it? I mean, sort of like it's a very well thought through strategy that's unconventional. Because my view is you put a boulder in front of where we're trying to flow, but if you're water, you just flow around it.
No, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Even if they do try to suppress it once, because they could take the post, they could take the video. It's already been out there. It's out. So many people have already seen it. They would have to delete the accounts before it gets out.
Well, they'd have to tear down the whole internet. If you have, so our plan would be to have a multi-nation, multi-site, blockchain-protected release of the schematics, how it works, everything about it, so anyone could reproduce it if you know how to do that. I mean, I couldn't even make a toaster oven.
How many people do you think are out there that know how to produce this kind of technology?
Oh, hundreds.
Hundreds,
maybe more. Over the years, there have been thousands of these devices that have come and gone. Most of them, people just take it to their grave because they don't understand the strategy of what they need to do. So they'll make a deal with someone financially, and that someone is fronting for another interest that suppresses it, buys it out. It's called black shelving. Happens all the time in the corporate world. And you want something that's a competition, you create a corporate entity, you fund it, get controlling interest in it, and then you just put it on black shelf. I know of multiple devices that would literally save humanity and the planet that's happened to. So you can't do it that way because the legal and financial traps are real. The national security applications that have been abused under the patent law are real. The Lost Century, this film is going to prove all this to the extent that the public, and it's an hour and 48 minutes, but it's all there. So I think that what we're asking people is another ask. If you know of someone or you have one of these systems, get it to us. We have a strategy and the contacts to get it out. Now, the second level, people say, well, I did all this work. I just want to make money on it. I said, that is the second phase. So once it's disclosed publicly, it's a little bit like DARPA creating the internet. So everyone uses the internet, and there's no one who owns the internet. But now that whole platform has created dozens of billion and trillion-dollar companies, right? Mm-hmm. That's what needs to happen here. Because I think we have it, if we're lucky, 20 years to make this transition.
Why do you say that?
Because the rate of decay of the biosphere, but also the geopolitical problems we're facing, when you have this growing number of the world's population in utter despair and poverty, and that's all based on the fact of the zero-sum game of our energy and financial system. There's no changing that. I mean, if all 8 billion people on the planet live like you and I do, with air conditioning or trucks, the price of a gallon of fuel would be $100 a gallon. So the system we have now requires the geopolitical and military instability. It's a natural outgrowth of it. This is why when I had this conversation with Senator Barry Goldwater, who was the senior senator from Arizona who ran for president in 1964 and lost. John McCain took his seat. And I was at his home in Paradise Valley. I was just there this week, but this was back in the 90s. And he said, it was a goddamn mistake then and a goddamn mistake now. This was ever kept secret. And because he and I had this long afternoon discussing this and what the implications of the secrecy have been, but also what are the wonderful implications of fixing this. Because it's nothing less than starting a whole new chapter in human civilization, where in 20 years, there will be no poverty on the planet, no pollution, unbelievable abundance. Because if you bring to zero the cost of energy, of transportation, manufacturing, you're creating a global economy that's decentralized, where every village, home, whatever, is self-sufficient. Mm-hmm. This is sort of a libertarian's dream, right? But it's also an environmentalist dream. So I tell people this crosses all the political left-right stuff if you understand what's at stake here. So in this one movement, you solve some of the environmental existential problems we're facing. You're going to solve a lot of these geopolitical problems with oil and oil supply, Mideast, Russia, gas. But you're also going to, in a real sense, liberate the world from the current system so it can flourish without it being a handful of centralized choke points for energy. That's the plan. Now, to do it, you need to have something that works. And I always tell people, a lot of people say, well, here's a black box and take my word for it. I go, no, I don't take the word on something that's important. It's got to be, we have to have the plans for it. We have to reproduce it. And we have to be able to have other people, third party, and reproduce it. And it should work as advertised. Most of these inventors don't want to do that because they don't know anything about science. The sine qua non of science is independent verification and proof, And that's the other problem. A lot of these people have these inventions, but they keep the sauce secret. But no one's going to believe it. Why should they? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Now, because I've gone into labs and had it tested, I know they exist. But they don't want to turn over the secret to the public because they're paranoid about having their It's like Gollum. We use this in the movie. And My Precious Ring, remember the movie? Yeah. And it's like they're trying to protect that, but they don't understand if they could get it out to the whole world as an open source, let's say proof of principle system. The next phase, they could then create specific products that could be patented. Why? Because now the public would demand it. The scientific community would have it, and the public would say, I want that. I want that thing running my F-150 truck.
Yeah.
So I'm not spending $100 to fill it up if you're a carpenter, like my dad. So that is something that, becomes a really powerful solution. We're spending trillions of dollars on, frankly, fake environmental solutions.
I know you're right, because we actually covered, I did an episode on environmental solutions, which could help with fires, could help with world hunger, it could help with a lot of things, and it got zero attention. And these guys have been walked into Congress, have been walked into the Senate. Nobody gave them the time of day.
Nope.
And
they need to contact here. If someone has something like this, and the reason they need to contact us is that I've worked with inventors since '91 who have had some version of these, and there's a certain number of known fatal mistakes they make that I'm outlining. So what I've tried to do, create a strategy that accounts for those mistakes. And it's kind of unconventional, because most people, when they get something like this, oh my God, I have to keep it secret, I got to patent it, I got to do this. No. You take it quickly. Because the most dangerous point is when you have something that works, but you don't have millions